And moving on, let's turn our attention to another Gen Z protest ongoing in Morocco. Young protesters have been rallying across several cities, calling for education and public health reforms. The protests that began on Saturday entered their third day on Monday. Police have arrested dozens of protesters in days of protests. Now, reportedly, the protesters were arrested while they were trying to chant slogans or speak to the press.
حنا كنخرجوا باش نطالبوا بالحقوق ديالنا المشروعه مي تواجهنا بالرفض وبالقمع. سمحوا لي عييت بالجزره حيتاش ما بقاش عندنا الحق نتمشاو في الشارع العام. ما عرفناش علاش تقمعنا سلميا وولينا كنطاردوا من قبل الشرطه وما عندناش الحق نوقفوا في اماكن عامه.
Security forces cracked down on young protesters who were trying to gather in major cities, including the capital of Rabat, Casablanca, Agadir, Tangier, and Houja. Reportedly, the majority of those detained over the weekend were released later. The protests were organized online by a youth group named Gen Z 212, using platforms including TikTok, Instagram, and gaming application Discord. Now, just like Madagascar, protests in Morocco are also quite similar to the Gen Z protests that most recently rocked Nepal, and have also taken place in other African nations like Kenya and Nigeria. Young Moroccans have denounced the government's misplaced priorities. Protesters slammed the government for pouring money into international sporting events while neglecting health and education. This comes as Morocco is preparing to co-host the 2030 FIFA World Cup, along with Spain and Portugal. In the run-up to the 2030 FIFA World Cup, Morocco is building at least 3 new stadiums and is renovating or expanding at least half a dozen others. The North African nation is also set to host the African Cup of Nations later this year.
علاش خارجين خويا حنا ما بغينا لا كره لا والو كره كون تعطينا عطاتنا شحال هادي عطات للدراري حنا بغينا الصحه والشعب والدينا تيموتوا لينا.
Moroccan human rights body and opposition parties have condemned the crackdown on protesters, calling it an attack on the right to freedom of expression. Moroccans have been angry over social inequalities in the country, which have hit young people and women the hardest. Now, recent reports of the deaths of 8 pregnant women at a public hospital in Agadir have further fueled public outrage.
الناس كيطلبوا مدارس ومستشفيات ما كيطلبوش شي حاجه المستحيله شي حاجه اللي ضروري خصها تكون في المغرب. الناس ما فاهمينش هذا الشيء. فين هي الحكومه في هذا الشيء؟ فين هو اخر نوش اللي مصباح هو كيدوي فين هو شي الناس كيطلبوا شي حاجه اللي ضروريه في المغرب. خاصهم مستشفيات ومدارس راه ما يمكنش واحد.
Earlier this month, survivors of Morocco's 2023 earthquake also rallied in Rabat, demanding the government to rebuild their houses as promised. Public discontent is on the rise in Morocco. Now, young Moroccans want their government to take accountability and to prioritize their basic needs over funding glamorous sporting events. But the government has denied all allegations against it. Gen Z protests have already led to the collapse of Madagascar's government. Will Morocco learn from the mistakes of its fellow African nation or repeat them and meet the same fate? Now that remains to be seen.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
$36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakaljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
$4
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.